to thank you all for doing that. We take any questions anyone has for Joey or John. Can't see very well. Dan, well, we'll start with you.
This was a really fun film to watch, and Joey, it's a pleasure to see your enthusiasm. My question is, when you went down to Memphis to record, did you find any parallels between Memphis and your experiences in England in the early days? Did you find anything similar?
I guess so. You know, a lot of the music I listened to when I was a kid was originated in Memphis. It was a great pleasure to go in those Royal Studios, Willie Mitchell's old place. But the musicians and the engineers and the producer, you know, all that kind of stuff was very similar to what I'd experienced in England during my growing up. Pretty much like musicians everywhere, really decent blokes who like to play music and really enjoy themselves, and that's my kind of world. You know. It was a great time, so I hope that answers your question.
It does, thank you.
There was a question here. Yes, sir.
Joey, I'm one of those guys that follow you on Facebook. I heard you're going back in August to Liverpool for Beatles Fest.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
how do you feel about going back to Liverpool?
I love it. Like I say in the film, Liverpool is a great place to grow up, and it's to me, of course, it's still the same. It changed in many ways. It's more like Beatletown now, of course. It's like a mall now. It's all paved over. You can't drive downtown or anything. But the people are the same. You know, the pub doors are open. The sun shines in the windows. People are fun and will help you with things. Except when they've had a few ales, they're just as likely to punch you. That hasn't changed either. That's why a lot of great runners come from Liverpool. It's true. We're very athletic. No, but it's a great thrill always to go back. I'm looking forward to it. And I'm like a local boy made good day, so you know how that is. Go to your hometown, everybody's nice to you. You know, it's funny now, they let us in places where they would never have let the urchin kids in. You know, they welcome us into the Adelphi Hotel, and they would have kicked us out. In the old days, they just no chance of getting in there. So it's a good question, and thanks a lot. I do enjoy it, yeah.
It brings up a question, I'm sorry,
No.
any theories on why such great art has come from that town?
No. There are loads of great comedians that come from there, English actors and actresses, Al McCogan, people like this, Frankie Vaughan, the Beatles, of course, but there are a lot of entertainers who've come out of Liverpool. I've got no idea why. Carl Jung lived there for a while. Paul Simon wrote Homeward Bound on the railway station in Liverpool. He lived there for a while, and so not a lot of people know that. It's just a great city. It's a very working class place, but you know when people are down, and it's the same here, I'm sure, when the working class person is down, and that's what we're like all our lives, really. You have to develop this sense of humour and make fun out of those the bad things and the hopeless kind of situations that people are in, you know, so maybe that's got something to do with it, I don't know, but there are a lot of talented people who've come out of that city, you know.
Yes. Do you ever stay in touch with the Beatles after your association with them?
I've stayed in touch a little bit in the early days, like 76, 70, you know, stuff like that, but I haven't seen any of them since, really since back then. I went out and stayed at John's house for a little bit in Malibu and, you know, played a bit of cards with Ringo, that kind of stuff. And I go and see the shows when Ringo comes to town, but I don't really know them. They were always the Beatles to me, and they were always like, you know, this impossible thing. You know, I really thought they were fabulous. And I get really nervous when I'm around those kind of people, so never... You know, I don't know if you like this, but I get nervous when I'm with a super talented person or somebody I think of like that. So I wasn't able to kind of strike up a real knock-around friendship with any of them, you know what I mean? I just had way too much respect for them. So no, I haven't seen them.
Who's the most helpful, do you think, of the four?
To us, without a doubt, it was George. He pretty much joined our band, and it actually took to calling us, this is my band. And he'd come and play with us, and
Well,
he'd
you
always...
to Bangladesh, talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, he took us to Bangladesh. We played we played all the guitars on George's All Things Must Pass album, all the acoustics anyway. And when he did the Bangladesh, he asked us to go and play our parts again, and like he asked everybody else who was on the album. And we were able to do it, and it was a great thing. And we went to New York for a week, hung around in New York City with George and Billy Preston and Ringo and Badfinger. We were rehearsing, we were like the rhythm section, you know what I mean? And so we started out, and then through the week, different people came, the singers, almost backup singers, Clyde King, all these people. Don Nix came, he wrote I'm Going Down, if anybody knows what that is. One after another, they all came drifting in, Eric Clapton was going to play guitar on the concert, as he had on the record, and Eric was going through his wandering days, you might say. He wasn't right on the ball in those days. He spent a lot of time on his couch. And every day, while we were in New York rehearsing, every single day, car went to Eric's house, to take him to the airport, and every day he didn't make the car. Every day, until the Saturday before the concert, he actually came out, got in the car, went to the airport, got the plane, and they picked him up in New York, and he came round to sound check. Came right to the dress rehearsal on the Saturday and rehearsed. And he bought this weird guitar with him. He played a Strat on the record. He always played a Strat. He bought this big old Gibson 350, which is like a jazz guitar, really. Chuck Berry used to play one in the old days as well, but he bought that guitar, and we were all kind of going, why did he bring that guitar? Where's the Strat? But he came and he did a great job, of course. A real sweetheart gentleman, incidentally. He's another guy who carries his own amp and his own guitar. He sets himself up and borrows picks from people. And he got any strings. Or he's like a real musician, if you like. His hair's all like that. How's it going? He comes in showing off a guitar. He had build a duplicate guitar made. It was exactly the same as Big Will Brunsey's guitar. Exactly the same, and he was so proud. He came in the studio that day with it, he got it out. He was going around the studio, look at this, man. Playing it and everything. Just a real musician, a real regular guy, That's great. There's the Eric Clapton story.
Tell us a little about Lennon and working on the Imagine album.
We got a call about, Tommy and I actually were at the house. We all used to live together in a little house in London. Not John Lennon, he didn't live there. but our band did. And anyway, the phone rings, and it's John Lennon's driver, Joe, and he tells us that John's recording that night at his house. Not at Joe's house, at John Lennon's house. And would we go down and play some guitar for him? So we said, yeah. So we sent a car, we went down to the house. He lived in a big, beautiful mansion, big Georgian mansion just outside London. We got lost in the house, because it was such a big house, and John didn't have servants and waiters or anything like that, or doormen, he wasn't, it was just a big house. So we were walking around looking for people, and we couldn't find anybody. So we got locked in the library. The library is one of those rooms with invisible doors in it, so we couldn't find our way out. We had to go around, and we did get out eventually, and down the hallway, and this is true, we went in this one room, and there were always in the room crates of, or cases of Dr. Pepper. The whole room was full of like 500 cases. Yeah, didn't see any booze or anything like that. Went down the hall into the kitchen where the jukebox, his jukebox was famous. Had all your 20 Flight Rock and Rip It Up and, Blue Suede Shoes, and all the great rock and roll singles were on John's jukebox. Still, and this was, imagine, when was that, 1971 or something? Still all this stuff, and then there was the studio off the kitchen, of course. Where else would you put it? There's all Johnny's guitars hanging on the walls, I remember. I was kind of taking photos with my head, you know, because this is John Lennon's house. And Nicky Hopkins was there, and Klaus Foreman, Jim Keltner, the drummer, probably the greatest session drummer in the world, I think. Who else was there? I know, you know, Tommy and myself. And then George was in the control room with Phil Spector. I remember John was nowhere to be seen, and we sat around for a while saying hello to everybody. Eventually John came in with Yoko. He looked great, blue jeans, you know, regular John Lennon guy. And he came down, he said hello to everybody, he was really nice. Yoko was really sweet. We were kind of worried about that because we'd heard bad things about her, but she was super to us. And to everybody, in fact, she was really helpful. And then John sat down and he said, this first song we're going to do is called Jealous Sky. And he sat down and played us Jealous Sky, and I don't know if you can imagine that. John Lennon sitting down with you and playing you this new song. You know what I mean? It was really extraordinary. We did the record. It took about 3 takes, really. It was always like that, recording with a Beatle. They'd show you the song really quick, go through it. They'd always have the arrangement. It would always be tight. They'd play you the song, and they expected you to learn it right then, get over the fact that they were Beatles, learn the song, and only play the song, not to start imagining that you're Django Reinhardt doing a version. You know what I mean? I saw George throw a guy out of the studio for doing that. Actually, stop! You! Get the out! Honest to God, so that's what they expected, and that's what we did. And John was the same. We just learned the song with him, and then we played it. And we did it like 2 or 3 times and made the record. And then he said at the end of that, when we'd done it, and he had the take, he came back and sat down. And he said, "You Badfinger guys can F off now if you like. We're going to do this song. It's called I Don't Want to Be a Soldier. And there's not really any, you know, guitar on it. It's just like a noise." You know, well, no, it's okay, we'll hang around and just see. You know? And we did, and we made a bit of noise on the guitars. And don't you know that that's the record on the Imagine album? That's what we got credit for. Playing on Jealous Sky, I mean, for playing on I Don't Want to Be a Soldier. And there it is, that's me John Lennon's story. Because I did that, or I told the story.
Thank you for the story.
It's a good story.
It is a good story, yeah. I can't remember the end of the evening.
What was your reaction when you realized you were going to be on Apple Records?
Well, the band, the Ivies were already on Apple Records, and so it wasn't any kind of. We didn't look on it as any kind of, you know, real thing. It was a great thing. We figured we had a bit more freedom than a lot of other bands on a lot of other labels. But it was really just a working relationship with Apple Records. The Beatles are really trying to have a record label. You know, so we just did our best to be a good band on the label, you know what I mean? But it was a great thrill for us to see, you know, you'd be in the office and you'd see George Harrison, you know, or you'd see John come walking in. And it was great, you know, it was just great, man, honest to God.
Why were the records tied up for so long?
The Beatles had lawsuits with EMI, and of course we had our management problems, and that caused our Warner Brothers records to be held up by Warner. So it was just the way things worked out. Really, I don't think anybody, you know, it wasn't any kind of weird thing. It's just one of those business things, I suppose. It cost us a lot of money. It was 11 years, and there were no Badfinger records in the stores. 11 years, we didn't have any royalties, we were all broke. You know what I mean? I worked as a plumber, as a carpenter in California, and I installed carpets in people's houses. And Tommy was working in England, and Mike Gibbons was working, doing painting and decorating in people's houses. We all just went back to work. That's how we were all raised, you know what I mean? get up in the morning and go get a job. That's what we did. But then 11 years later, the records came out, and we started getting checks in the mail. It's great mailbox money. It's a great treat for musicians. It still goes on to this day, albeit it's a little bit smaller to get to go like this. You know? And then Mariah Carey recorded without you, they went like this. Right now they're like this. I'm looking for somebody to go out and record that without you, son. Get out there and do it. Get out there and do it. Yeah.
We had a question for Jeff.
After all the ups and downs, you've had over the years, what keeps you inspired to keep going and keep pursuing music?
I suppose, I don't know, I love it. I love doing it. It's like I'm getting away with it, you know what I mean? I just really enjoy playing the guitar. It's still my best friend. I write songs and bring them to me pals. I've always done that, and if your pals like the song, you know, everybody writes songs for their pals. You write songs, well, and I want my mates, my real mates, to say, oh, it's cool, that job. And I do that, and people have been telling me that all my life. I like that, let's do that one, let's do that Joe song. So I keep on getting the opportunity to do it. And I love it, and you know, I get to do things like this and meet people like you guys. It's great. It's everywhere I go, man. We're all the same, and that's a wonderful feeling for a man to carry around with him. You know that? So maybe these things are the reasons I still do it. I don't know, but I don't make a lot of money doing it. I do okay. My car runs and my bills are paid. So what the hell?
Dan?
Have you finished what you were working on in Memphis? Is that LP out?
I have, yeah. I've just signed the contracts for it to be released. It's coming out pretty soon. I can't tell you exactly when. It's coming out on an English. I don't know what to call it. A record label. It's a media marketing company called Gonzo out of London, and they're going to put the record out for me, as well as putting out my previous solo albums that I've done on my own, you know, just by myself kind of thing. They're going to put that stuff out too. So I'm imagining in the next 6 or 8 weeks it'll be out, and it's called Return to Memphis.
Look forward
I
to
hope
it.
you like it. It's really quite different. Just me with a quartet. I played a little bit of guitar on it, some slide and stuff. Wrote all the songs, of course. But I used a Memphis group. Like I said on the video, some of the Booker T and the MGs guys came, and we had 4 girls come in and sing the oohs and the ahs and the harmonies. Man, is that sweet. It's really a beautiful thing, honestly. So, I don't know, I'm kind of nervous about it, because it's not like a Badfinger record or any other record I've made. I'm quite excited about it, but I'm very nervous at the same time. Yep.
The 2 songs that we heard I thought were very nice, so I'm looking forward to it.
I'm sorry, what?
The 2 songs that were included at the end of the film I thought were very nice, so I'm looking forward to it.
Good. Did you like them? Yeah.
Yeah.
The first song, Still, I wrote that about the music business. You know, kind of relate to your question there a bit. Still, I love you. You know, I've been holding my breath and taking it easy and stuff like that. You got to be careful what you say in the music business. You know, really. None of those guys with the suits and shirts and ties and stuff, they're still running it. You know, I imagine the music business as a really spindly building. And as that digital world has come around, its head has gotten bigger and bigger and bigger, and now it's kind of teetering like this. And I'm waiting for the day when that thing goes and explodes, and then it's all musicians and artists doing it. We'll see.
You sounded really great listening to just you and your guitar in those sessions. Have you ever put out or considered just doing just you and your acoustic guitar?
I've started to do those shows now, like a storyteller kind of night. The way I approached that, you know what, I just did a thing at New York State University. They invited me, and they archived my performance. He's starting a rock and roll archive there. But anyway, yeah, I do those kind of shows, and I wing them. I don't rehearse it at all. I just go on with my guitar, and I like to start with a brand new song, and then I just get into the story, and it starts when I'm born, and then it generally ends at the curfew of the place where we're doing the show. Because I've got no sense of time, and you know, when you're on stage, you just kind of... And as I tell me stories, I remember other things that happened. You know, there's another way that happens. I remember other things, so I tell that story too. And you know, so I might talk for half an hour, but only about like 15 minutes of life of my life. Of course, people, you know. But it's yeah, I do those kind of shows in a nutshell. What you're saying, I'll be around doing them, and I also do those things with Phil Solon. And Phil's a similar kind of person to myself. And we go on stage, and he's got great songs. I've got my songs. And we wing the show. The two of us wing the show together. And that's something to see because, you know, I'll be playing behind him singing one of his songs, you know. It's just a different kind of show. It's a lot of fun. We both enjoy it, you know. It's good.
Another question?
Time for 2 more questions.
2 more, okay. Is there another question back there?
Well, just wondering if you were able to ever reacquire your copy, or your rights, your royalties from the old stuff, or was that all absorbed in the record companies?
Well, yeah.
And has that come back to visit you, to bless you now later in your life, you know?
Well, the original masters, you know, the Apple records are owned by Apple, and we signed the publishing to the songs to Apple Publishing, and that's an ongoing arrangement. We did the same with Warner's. I guess I could just answer your question. No, we never did get any of it back. But on the positive, good side of that, when digital music came out, Apple sent us I got a letter one day from Apple, from Neil Aspinall. And he wrote a letter, Dear Joe, I want you to know that Apple have decided to increase your royalties for the CDs and stuff. And we're going to do this because we know you'll sue us if we don't. You know what they did? Our royalties for the Apple records, the vinyl albums in the old days, our royalty was 5%. They increased our royalties for the CD sales to 50%.
Nice.
And so that's kind of one of the bonuses of working with the Beatles, working with Apple. I don't know anybody else who gets 50% in the world, you know? But that's what they give us, 50% of the net.
Does that still go to the families?
Oh yeah, we went to court. After the, I'll try and be quick about this because it's a bit of a story, but when we found out all the money was being stolen by the managers and everything, the only recourse we had was we went to the record label, and I'd advise any band in the world to do this. We went to the record label and asked them not to pay any more royalties. And they stopped all the royalties, the publishing and the recording royalties. They stopped it all, started putting it in a bank account. Yeah? After a couple of years, there was quite a lot of money there. They took that to the British court in London and gave it to them. And the courts held on to the money. And in 1985, Mike Gibbons and myself and Bill Collins, who were the 3 survivors, Tommy Evans' family and Peter Ham's family, we all went to court in London. And we had our original agreements ratified by the court and drawn up. It's called a consent order, and we all signed it. And from that day, in perpetuity, I guess, everybody gets every penny that Pete's family get all his money, I get all my money, Tommy's family gets all his. And we don't have any control over it. It goes to an accountant in London, he collects all the money and divvies it up. And if he does anything wrong, he's going to jail. You know, because this is a court, you know, thing, you know. And I was really talking about this earlier on. I don't know why we didn't go to the cops. Why didn't we go to the police and say, you know, we've got these people and they're stealing all our money. Why didn't we do that? You know what I mean? Isn't that stupid? You just don't think of these things, you know.
We welcome you to continue the Q&A in the lounge. Thank you very much, everyone. And now we'll be playing 2 shorts if you'd like to stick around. happy to also continue the conversation.
Very much.
Thank
Thank you.
you.